I'm Kevin Warwick. I'm Professor of Cybernetics, and I experiment with all sorts of technology, particularly implants. Cybernetics, I think if you watch, there was a serious documentary film called The Terminator a few years ago, and a cyborg in that was defined as a cybernetic organism, part human, part machine. And really what cybernetics is looking at the system as a whole, with humans and technology all working together. So a cyborg is a good example where the technology and the human are literally merged into one being. Way back in 1998, I had the first implant, which was put in my upper left arm. It was a radio frequency identification device, and with that in place, when I moved around my building, the computer knew it was me because of the implant, and it opened doors for me and switched on lights and said hello. It was really cool. The last implant I had, whether you can still see the scar, but that was 100 electrodes, actually called a Utah array. That's where it was made, in array. The array of 100 electrodes was fired into my nervous system and linked my nervous system directly with a computer. So as I moved my hand, my brain signals, neural signals, controlled a robot hand, and then the robot hand gripped an object. The signals were sent back down to my nervous system, that my brain could actually feel how much force the robot hand was applying, and various other extrasensory input and so on. Well, one of the things I'm working on is with Parkinson's disease. Even now you can treat it with electrodes positioned deep in the brain, in the subthalamic nucleus. It's right in the central part of the brain. What we're doing is taking signals, electrical signals that are actually going on in the brain, that we can record in the electrodes that are implanted, and trying to use those in an artificial intelligence system to predict what the brain is going to do. Immediately we're trying to predict when somebody is about to have the tremors that you get with Parkinson's disease, so we can counteract them before they start. But it's actually giving us an insight into the problem. Maybe we'll be able to treat Parkinson's disease in a different way because we understand it more, because we can understand the electrical activity in the brain. Another project I'm involved with is growing brains. We actually take brain cells either from rat embryos or literally human brain cells, which we obtain. We actually buy them. I say human brain cells, we buy them from an American company, so they're American human brain cells, and we culture them. We grow them in a little dish and link them to a robot body. And what we're trying to do with the robot body, move the robot around and look at memories. How do memories manifest themselves in this brain that we're growing, a little model brain? If we can understand how memories appear in the brain, then maybe we can add neurons or add stem cells to keep the memories intact, or to allow us to recall the memories, or to allow the robot to recall memories more. If we can achieve that in our little model brain, in a robot body, then maybe in the future we can achieve it in human brains. So problems that at the moment are a big issue for the elderly, such as Alzheimer's, dementia, really horrendous problems where you can't recall what you were doing 2 minutes ago, never mind further back than that. If we can tackle that, possibly with technology, plugging in chips, or possibly by adding extra brain cells at the right place, our little robot with brain cells from rats or humans will have done an awful lot. So it's trying to learn what memories are. Can we actually combat problems such as Alzheimer's, dementia? Artificial intelligence is tremendously exciting. I mean, remember, artificial intelligence is machine intelligence, is very different to human intelligence. It's computers. And there are some disadvantages, maybe, if you're a machine. There are lots of advantages. It senses the world in a different way. It has, I mean, very, very complex memory. I mean, a computer typically is networked. the memory is almost infinite, as opposed to an individual human which has a very small finite memory by comparison. The computer thinks that, if you like, the intelligence is in many, many dimensions. Sometimes we use that because it can think in 20 or 30 dimensions, whereas the human brain typically thinks in 3 dimensions. That's it. It's really limited. So there's lots of advantages there for artificial intelligence. Can be used in the military domain, can be used for gaming, can be used for finance. Of course, these are areas in which it is used at the moment, but it can also be used to help us in many ways. What I'm interested in really is linking directly the human brain with its intelligence, which is okay, with AI, with the computer brain, so that we can get a new cyborg, this entity in the future that is a little bit of this and a little bit of that. We can benefit from it. So I think artificial intelligence is fine, it's very powerful, but let's try and use it for ourselves in a much better way, not acting against us. We don't want a Terminator scenario where artificial intelligence in robots decides, what do we bother doing what these humans want, let's go and kill them all off. We can't have that. I think technology clearly is going to play a much bigger role in the future. We see now almost the body is getting redundant, and we have problems. People are getting obese, partly because years gone by, physical exercise was part of everyday life. A lot of jobs you were moving around and so on. Now you're not. You're just stuck linked to a machine, and you travel by car, so you hardly move about. The brain is the key thing, and therefore the technologies of the future are going to be much more brain focused. So computing technologies, biomedicine, I think is going to be very, very important, particularly biomedical engineering, linking technology with the brain, doing things for the brain, with the brain, about the brain, training the brain. So technology generally, computing generally, biomedical rather than biological. I think these are all going to be important areas. I guess also the pharmaceutical side of things, which is affecting the brain in chemical ways, is going to be different. Medicine, I believe, is going to be dramatically different in the years ahead. The old-fashioned doctor that, oh yes, how are you doing? Let me feel your pulse and so on. And it takes about 3 days to get a decision out of them. Maybe that will be a backup for particular people that like that, but I think it's going to be much more of an immediate. For me, if I'm ill, I want a cure now. I don't want to wait 3 days and have someone feeling my pulse and saying what a nice person I am. I want a decision straight away, and if you can link me into a bit of technology, I can key in what my problems are. It asks me a question, I'll key back, and it gives me an answer and says, go and get these tablets straight away. I would love that. And I think people in the future are going to want that. But those systems need to be developed, and the technology, the right sort of interaction, and whether the system links. If I am older, I have to say one of my ambitions in life is to be an old person. I want to take as long as I can to get there, but I would like to be an old person eventually. And when I'm there, I would maybe like to have technology, robots, avatars helping me in different ways, keeping me company, challenging me at Mario Kart, so I got a bit of competition, and so on. I would like to have that on a day-to-day basis, and if I'm ill, they sort it out for me straight away. I really can't wait to look at that sort of technology and interact with it in the future. I think one of the big challenges is understanding what's going on in the human brain, and it is the artificial intelligence to come up with the right solution in the right way, in a way that's acceptable for me. One of the main challenges I'm involved with, and I think is going to be a challenge for the next 30, 40 years, if not longer, communication. I see as a human, it's important, but we are so limited now. How I'm communicating now is absolutely pathetic in comparison to computers and technology. So I'd love to be able to communicate directly from my brain, to think to somebody and in terms of colours and images and graphics, and they know emotionally what it is I'm thinking about. Bringing that about is going to take all sorts, artistic people as well as technological people, biomedical people, computing, but we need to make it happen. So people in the future of all ages can communicate in a much, much richer way, like computers do now. For me, that's one of the key challenges, but it's a tremendously exciting challenge.